1 2 1 2 1 2. Checking in right now. Easily Offended Podcast is definitely in the building. This is episode 94.
94.
Oh, we got 6 more to 100. Ferris, you better get ready. I keep bugging him like, you are the 100th episode. I don't want to do no podcast. You doing it. I don't give a fuck what you say. Thank y'all for commenting and sharing. Make sure y'all check out Fab Monroe, our last episode 93. Make sure you check her out on We the Ones tour. She will be in LA, Inglewood, and Oakland. And also make sure y'all get y'all tickets for Zanies. May 6th, she will be there. Shout out to Mojo Brooks. Shout out to Marlon Mitchell, all the people that reached out and retweeted and reposted the comments that she had. Thank you. I really appreciate all the love. And we got a guest. We have another guest.
Yeah, we have another guest.
And this
very, very esteemed.
Very esteemed guest. She's known me since I was a kid.
Which was a long fucking time ago.
It's a long time. I mean, I first met her when she was working with my brother Ferris, and she did an event with him at Slicks, and that was the first time. And I was working at a clothing store on State Street back in the day. We've always crossed paths. I mean, her resume is so long. This intro could be 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to just sum it up. She's more than a journalist. She's public relations, built brands, marketing, political consultant. She's worked with the DNC plenty of times. Def Jam, Universal Music Group, BMG. She's worked with artists of Jay-Z, Kanye West, Erykah Badu, The Roots, fucking Wu-Tang. Like, I don't even, it's so many other people you worked with and worked for. It's too many to name. Mm-hmm. We got Mary Datcher in the building, man. Hold on, let me get my hand clap. God damn it. See, this is why I need that right there.
Delayed hand clap.
Delayed hand clap.
Delayed but not denied.
Right. How you doing today?
I'm good. You need a producer. That's what you need.
I mean, you know,
you got a lot going on.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah.
It's a lot of things we do.
Yeah. We do everything ourselves. We're a two-man crew.
That's quite all right.
Yeah, in front of the camera, behind the camera, all that shit. Yeah. Everything is done.
He does the episodes. I do the reels.
Yeah.
And some days if I'm at work like crazy, I'll be like, look, I'm sorry. I ain't gonna get no reels this week. And Instagram like, if you want more followers, you have to post every day. I'd be like, look.
Every hour on the day.
Every hour.
Crazy. It's like a whole nother job.
It is.
That's what I'm saying. We do need to just pay somebody for that shit.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another time off camera.
We'll get there. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we get a good sponsorship or something.
You were at 96. It took 96 episodes to get me on your show. That's a pretty good number.
I always say, man, if you're gonna do anything, make sure you do it 100 times before you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's all about the consistency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like we love having these conversations with people that a lot of times this younger generation coming up in, they don't know nothing about the people that laid the groundwork for them. Mm-hmm. You know, like today is my son's birthday. He goes to Columbia. He does short movies and videos and stuff like that. And he's even watched some of the episodes. He like, I didn't know that happened, or I didn't know this was this, and I didn't know this was that. He like, it's very good for him to learn these steps on how to, he sent me his little contract because we had a situation.
Yeah.
And somebody reached out like, ooh, I'm like, oh shit. He was like, Title's like, look, they was very unprofessional, Dad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, at least you know.
Look, put it in writing.
Right.
We learned that from the court proceedings between Chance and his manager.
Right. Oh.
And if anybody walked away with it, it was really Music 101. Put the shit in writing.
It's funny because they were referencing this book that I had to use in school, that Music Business 101 or something like that. And so I know I didn't really follow that case too close, but I just know basically they pretty much had like a handshake agreement, and he felt like that entitled him to basically royalties off of him and Chance in perpetuity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like without anything in writing to specify, like I don't understand how you feel like you could be entitled to somebody,
right?
Like going forward, like forever. You know, I mean, but it was good to see that happened for Chance. I mean, obviously it was better for Chance at least.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean these business relationships, they don't last forever.
No.
And sometimes they end amicably, and sometimes they don't.
I mean, my thing is like if I'm managing somebody and I start seeing the bubble, it's like, all right, let's get this paperwork in order before we start moving forward because
exactly.
Yeah, and that way it takes the emotions out of it, right?
And it keeps people accountable.
Yeah,
I mean that's one of the things that you have to do when you're putting things in writing. It's accountability. Who role is what they're responsible for,
right?
Even the one that is being managed, what their end of their responsibility is as well. And what Chance's manager was doing is what has been done for a long time back in the day. You had groups like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, those key groups back in the day did have one of those handshake deals.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother era in which it was based upon talent, touring, royalties, booking, all of that. So now we fast forward and it's a whole different level of not only are you dealing with the royalties, not only are you dealing with the touring, you're dealing with the merchandising, you're dealing with the sponsorship elements, you're dealing with the special appearance items like what he does with The Voice.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you have all of these different components that is profit builders, but it's also profit margin acquisition, meaning that if I don't make money in the sales portion of my units, then I'm going to have to make up for that in the appearance and in the hosting lane. And if that doesn't work out, that's going to probably cover my margin on other loose ends like the merchandising. I heard that he was also, the manager was also in charge of Chance's domain, where they funneled a lot of his merch items, which he was getting the profit from. So it's like Chance wasn't even touching that portion.
Those number 3 hats is everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. That merch, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
And it's different now, obviously, because album sales aren't a thing now, right? I mean,
well, it's not a thing if you are signed to a label that has already said, hey, here's your advance check.
Right.
This is what it's going to take to build up this whole infrastructure of promotional, touring and radio promo and all. So no, you're not going to make any money. But if you are independent and you are in charge of every aspect of production, pressing up your units, making sure that all of that's covered, you can make money back after you recruit what you have already invested in yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's the difference. You can make some money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's in terms of physical units though,
it depends on the genre though. See, here's what people mess up. They think that physical does not sell anymore. That's what the labels want you to think.
It doesn't. It's not like that no more because vinyl sales.
Vinyl does sell. Yeah.
And you also have a comeback on even CDs.
That's facts.
And somebody told me they're bringing back cassettes, and I was like, word? How does that work? Because where am I going to play this cassette?
Yeah.
But I was reading an article like the millennials are really going back to those because they're curious.
Yes.
Like, how does this sound? Like when I showed my son a tape, he was like, "What is that?"
Right. Yeah.
And I showed him this radio, and I'm like, "Yeah, I used to record on this side,
Right.
play the radio on this. You know what I'm saying? And make my own mixtape of." The best of
you had
DJ
to do
Clue.
the start and stop, so you had to have your hand on the stop button to make sure it stopped exactly where you want it.
I'm mess with the equalizers, putting bass in, treble out.
See, we did that BMX days when the mixes were on the radio, and you had, the Hot Mix 5 on BMX, and then you had the other crew on WGCI, and we used to run home and be like, okay, let's go ahead, play, record.
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game nowadays. I mean, I really respect the independent artists that really actually put in the work and and be successful out of it.
Yeah,
And
because remember, that demographic that you just hit on, and even my demographic, which is X, is that if you go to an R&B show, neo soul, country, jazz, blues, right outside in that lobby, that artist is selling every piece of from their physical, audio to the visual. And when their fans are there in their audience, they're going straight to the lobby and they're buying up everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're buying what they have online. That is the loyalty of the brand support of that artist and the disposable income that demographic now can afford.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they do appreciate the tangibility of a physical CD. I love cracking open, whether it be the vinyl, the plastic on the vinyl, or even the CD, so I can lay out that 4-panel CD insert and read through who produced, who engineered, who wrote, even down to who styled and who did the photography of that photo shoot.
That look, yeah.
I love the credits.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you would even have the lyrics in there.
Yes.
You could
I used to love that.
Yeah.
I used to love the lyrics. I just sit there and just read.
And then
the
just the album art, the different pictures that you're gonna have inside. There's not on, and even like when you open up the CD, there might be like something else under the CD that you can see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It was like a thing. Like you open it up, you put it in, and while you're listening to the music, you're just reading everything.
And then you had in terms of physical medium things that you can't really do now with streaming. You had the hidden tracks on certain albums. Like I remember the Roots used to do that on every album.
Yeah.
They would have like a hidden track like towards the end, so you kind of like just let the last song play.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You get a little surprise and some music start
Right.
on.
You like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no, I remember, and it would be like it would be like 8 minutes of dead silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then all of a sudden it will pop on.
Right.
And then you have the interludes and the preludes.
Right. Skits and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Music has came so far the way it is nowadays. It's just like we're going to see Currency next week, and I was just independent artists in Chicago is like a weird because the independent artists here that are moving, the movers and shakers, they don't really complain about not being on the radio.
Yeah.
Because they have found their way of like, look, this is my core.
Right.
This is what I'm catered to. This is what I'm gonna stick with this. You know what I'm saying? Fillmore, you got Jujilla, you got Vic, Mensa, Spencer, both of the Vics. They both found their lanes, and they like, yeah.
I mean, we got the internet. You got the internet. You got social media.
Like the major label is cool. You get a good check. You might get a little budget, but like,
yeah, but all that's got to be recouped.
the record labels are so exactly.
They gonna get their money back.
It's so small now. Like, when we was growing up, when you signed to a label, you had like 30 people working on your album. You go into a boardroom and it's 30 people listening to your project, and they're coming up with ideas. All right, we're gonna put you on Vibe, Source, Right On, boom.
You got street teams,
teams,
people hanging posters with your face on the album art and all that other stuff.
Right, you got the guy that's like, oh, how much is it gonna cost? All right, I'll write the check.
Yeah, the payola that never existed.
The what? Never heard
right,
of
yeah.
We don't know about that. But so let's start. Where did you grow up at? What side of town did you grow up?
I grew up on the west side. Grew up on the west side between my dad and my mom. My mom was out in the suburbs, so that's where you hear a little bit of that, very proper accent.
that good diction.
Yeah, exactly. So, because my cousins from the west side, they're like, you talk like them white girls.
Right.
And, for a minute, I became offended. And then when I started understanding that I can move between different groups, it played in my favor. And I appreciated that because I decided to move with my dad. When I entered high school, I didn't want to be out in the suburbs. I wanted to give him that time to have a chance to raise me 24/7 because we were, spend a lot of time together on the weekends, during the summer. So I really knew the West Side because my family came up from Virginia on my mom's side, Alabama on my daddy's side.
Right.
And a lot of my cousins were all up throughout the West Side. So I was that kid that would run up and down Madison. That was my classroom was Madison.
Yeah.
That, 5400 West Block of Madison. So if you're not familiar, you've heard of MacArthur's, you've heard of Max Records.
Yeah.
My dad owned a lot of buildings in that block. And so that was my
that was your playground, right?
that was
there.
my playground. So, up and down, understanding the pimps, who was who,
Right.
understanding, the folks that did they do, and a lot of the fronts that happened when you're in those type of environments where it fronted as a legitimate business, but on the back end it wasn't.
Right.
And then knowing how to speak that language for survival. And
Yeah.
then you have to flip it back when you're in the classroom and understand how you have to survive on the academic front. So I had the best of both worlds. I would not go back, and I don't regret that, because it really kind of molded me for the business that I had no idea I was going to be entering at 16.
What high school did you go to?
I went to two. I went to Prosser Vocational High School, and then I transferred to Jones.
Okay. Jones Commercial.
Yes. So I love Prosser, shout out to the Falcons. And then I transferred over to Jones because my mom would always brag about these young ladies when she was working downtown. She goes, these young ladies would come out of Jones and they would have their nice pillbox hats and their white gloves.
Jones was like an all-girls school back then, wasn't
Well, back then it was, and then when I went, it was co-ed, but it was still a business attire Magnus High School.
Right.
So, if you were going to Jones, you were entering in the workforce, the business side. You still had the college mindset, but it really was for those that were shifting into that trade, whether you wanted to be a typist, a transcriber in a court, whether you wanted to work in the marketing field, whether you wanted to do more administrative work.
Yeah. So that was like a trade school for like that type of
For the
stuff.
professional.
Yeah.
Like
Professional trade
CVS
school.
was like auto mechanics. And
Yeah.
But you know what, Prosser, where I transferred from, which basically was in the same division as Lane Tech,
Oh yeah.
Stymez, Foreman, all of that. That's who we played against a lot in our sports. Prosser had the same, situation like Dunbar and like Phillips.
Yeah.
So you had the auto mechanics, you had the printing.
Right.
Remember back then, like Chicago was the number one printing city in the country. We had R.R. Donnelley, who basically printed everybody's newspaper and
My mother and my
magazines.
uncle worked for Donnelley.
Yeah, so that was huge. And so now you had, and they were recruiting from these vocational high schools.
See, I wish they would bring vocational high schools back, man. That was just
Well, a lot of those industries don't really exist in the way that they once did. There's still this, so there's definitely still like room for trades.
Well, yeah,
especially
electricians.
about just say
Yeah.
electricians, plumbers.
yeah, because we was just talking about that the other day. That's gonna be the new millionaires in the future because they was like those trades.
Yeah.
Few
always
and far
gonna be
between,
there.
Yeah, you got cosmetology.
Right.
Dunbar has a pretty good trade program. It has been for years. The key is, do you take advantage of it?
Right.
Do the kids take advantage? Remember, Simeon used to be a vocation. I don't know if they still are.
No,
they're not.
But
I don't
they-
think CVS is vocational anymore either.
See,
And
everyone.
they had their own air hangar. They had like aviation.
aviation
Yeah.
was their main thing, and that whole side of the building is closed. Like they only have the kids in the front part. Like those wings are empty.
Wow.
Like they don't have enough kids. I think a friend of mine last time we went to the CVS reunion. I think one of the girls, she's a counselor there. She's like, we only have like 900 kids.
For CVS, that's crazy.
That is.
You know what I'm saying? So she was like, we went from like 3,000-4,000 kids back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause my class coming in was 1,300. The freshman class was 1,300. So she was like, back then it was like good 2,800 kids out of high school every day. Now it's 900. So she's like, we don't even use. I was like, what about all the equipment? She's like, all that shit's still there. Like
See?
all the auto mechanic buildings where they pull up the car. She's like,
All the lifts, the hydraulic lifts, and all. Yeah.
had the air conditioning units,
They did have
electrician,
AC
plumber.
shop,
Yeah,
yeah.
they had an HVAC, welding. She's like, all that stuff is still there.
See? And there's still a market for it. The problem is that people are moving out of Chicago, and so the student attendance and enrollment has dropped down considerably.
Yeah.
So people are out there in the suburbs, or they moved out of the state altogether. In my daytime gig, one of our clients happened to be Chicago Teachers Union. And so we, get a lot of those numbers through that client on, what exactly contractually are they fighting for? Right. And at the end of the day, it's, in the mindset of the families, including the parents and the students, and you're fighting for the rights of the teachers. But here's the reality of it. Student enrollment has gone down. And we had a certain spike during the pandemic because you had a lot of the migrant kids coming in, and they were helping to drive up those numbers. But now you're seeing those numbers drop down again.
Now, is it like when the school is fully occupied, does that, or not fully occupied, does that mess with the funding?
Absolutely. So it doesn't mess with the funding in terms of it decreasing. Remember, each child represents a certain amount for federal dollars for the school district. So if you have a low student enrollment in your school, most likely you're not going to get as much financing or funding as the school across town in Lincoln Park.
Right, where the enrollment is high.
Where the enrollment is high. And remember, we had this issue when Ron was in office and had to shut down 52 schools.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It was, because it gutted our community.
Gutted. And then you had all the kids going from one school, going to another school that didn't get along with that neighborhood. Yeah. Now you got issues going on.
And you also had like a lot of like charter schools try to pop up in that vacuum with a whole bunch of like Teach for America people.
Yeah, that's school choice people.
School choice, right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that had absolutely no idea how to relate to the population and teach kids that they were trying to teach. No. We really are kind of seeing the results of that now, I mean, when you see like all the stuff we're dealing with,
absolutely.
it's just kind of this didn't happen overnight.
No.
And it's not going to be fixed overnight.
No.
Yeah, I mean, all these schools. I'm like, all the schools are empty. Like, man, can we turn these schools into something? Like they're empty. Like they're just sitting there. Like, can we make it a homeless shelter or something?
But who are you going to put in them? See, that's the other part is when you have a declining residency, especially from one group, unless you have something that is going to entice them to come back or even to stay, like affordable housing. It's to the point where you really can't afford to be in city limits. And if you do, then you're going to have to, maneuver, wear a couple hats, get a couple jobs, and so you can have these schools transform into community centers for kids, for homeless shelters. But then you got to look at the other flip side, is that what we disavow in redlining and segregation, we now pride ourselves in non-gentrification and ownership of what we built in our neighborhoods. And when we see other groups come in, we tighten up. Oh, here they come.
Yeah.
But we don't understand that also contributes to the numbers. It contributes to building communities and economic stimulation to the local businesses. It doesn't matter what color, as long as it's a green color.
Yeah. See, me, I'm more like when they talked about like this area, Hyde Park. Well, Hyde Park always been like gentrified, like. But like Woodlawn, it's been a whole thing with the Obama library opening up, and a lot of people are so mad against it. I'm like, you do understand, if you own your home, this makes your property value go up.
Yeah. It definitely makes it. But see, if you're a property owner, and you are, it makes your property taxes go up.
Yeah. Well.
And so that's what they're scared of. They're scared of the property taxes going up. And especially for those property owners that are basically in their golden years and they're on a fixed income.
Yeah.
And then you don't know, even if you leave, who you're going to leave your inheritance to, your property to, and if they're going to be able to afford.
They're just even for the taxes.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, because I mean, this is kind of where the conversation is going. We got a lot to get to with you, right? But this is kind of where the conversation is going. So I just want to ask, you being involved in politics, what I'm saying, in Chicago. I feel like we're in a pretty volatile state right now, especially when it comes to like Black Chicago and politics. We've been historically voting Democratic for a long time. There is a contingency that I feel like a lot of people are trying to downplay that I don't think they should, that are really looking to move in another direction in terms of our political affiliations. Our current mayor gets a lot of flack, some justified, some I feel like is, a little undeserved. But I just want to get your take on like the political climate in Chicago right now, specifically amongst Black Chicago.
I think Black Chicago needs a fire under us. We really do. Thanks to social media, thanks to these fresh and young voices that are very trying to get very informed and educate others in terms of where it really began. And we're seeing a lot of that historical breakdown come through social media in terms of, and I've always told people, when my father came up from Harpersville, Alabama, he was a Republican. He was a Republican precinct captain on the West Side. His buildings he bought from an Italian. When the Italians and the Irish were, white flight in Austin, he was part of that, putting his roots down in that community and building it up. But he was a Republican. And he was a Republican up until Harold Washington threw his hat in the ring. And he and some of the other elected officials, the politicians, him and now Congressman Danny Davis, then Alderman Danny Davis, they were good friends. And, Congressman Davis now, but then as an alderman, he was straight Democrat, machine Democrat party. And I would often hear them argue and debate, not in a malicious way, but just, hey man, let me tell you what you all could be doing better versus what somebody else is doing. And now you're hearing more and more people understand that Black people were initially, especially down south, Republicans, because it was a Dixie Democrat era back then.
Yes, Southern Democrats. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
But then the question is, fast forward, now it is expected of Black people to be loyal to the Democratic Party when the Democratic Party in certain aspects have not always been loyal to us.
100%.
Or they've shifted what they feel we should all be engaging in when it does not always benefit us. And now you're hearing that more and more. And that outspokenness, which I love because it reminds me of when the initial civil rights movement started in the first place. See, now you have that generation. They are resting. They are, hopefully enjoying their golden years, but they're also fading away.
We just lost Jessie.
Look,
what I mean?
Our the company that I'm with, we led the efforts on those services, and this was something
that was powerful.
It was powerful.
There was also a lot of controversy.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I've had the pleasure of being around Reverend Jackson in his best health. And he was a champion for young people, young voices, but he also advocated for those in the entertainment industry. People don't know that part.
And
absolutely. When I would produce these monthly collabo music industry mixers, every now and then Reverend would come through and support. He would just show his face and show up and shout out. Well, he's resting as well. He died before Reverend, but his chief of staff, John Mitchell.
Big John. Yeah. That was my man. I love Big John.
Yeah. So he would call me and I'll call him, hey, can Rev roll through? And, you had all these hardcore rappers, know about Rev, blah, blah, blah. They had their own stigma of Reverend Jackson. And as soon as he would walk through the door, they would melt like butter. And try to jump in pictures. They were just like, little kids when they saw this is Reverend Jackson in the flesh.
He had a presence about him.
What was that energy like at that funeral? With like Kamala, Obama, Clinton, like that.
We heard about that for weeks.
And my thing was, I watched the Obama speech, and he wasn't really getting too political with the things. He was just stating.
It was that people definitely jumped on that way too hard.
They was jumping on it way too hard. Like, oh, he's trying to get people to vote Democrat. He was just basically speaking the truth. And
it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't political.
No.
right.
And that was the environment that did not call for that. This was really about honoring Reverend and his contributions and what people's personal take was with their interaction of Reverend Jackson. And you heard stories that had never been spoken before. This was a 2-week event for us in producing it. We produced across 8 events, including helping the family with the South Carolina laying an honor at the Capitol Rotunda in his home state of South Carolina. That in itself was a lot of work in helping and coordinating along the different states. One of our team members, Lamar Brown, helped with that and making sure that when they did the caravan, and shout out to Leak and Sons and Spencer Leak family did an extraordinary job in making sure that Reverend was properly taken care of, and even through guiding from a motorcade caravan from Illinois all the way to South Carolina.
I mean that's a logistics. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be on point with all that stuff.
They drove him down there?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a motorcade.
Yeah, it was a motorcade, and it was really the brainchild of Mrs. Jackson. And, you know, Mrs. Jackson married to Reverend almost 65 years. And what I try to tell people is that we just carried out what their wishes were, what her wishes were, but also what his wishes were, because you don't have that kind of partnership with someone that many years and not share what your you know
Final wishes are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when people wanted this and wanted that, or they were in disagreement, I always shifted back to, well, Mrs. Jackson, you know, this is what she wants. This is what they discussed.
Yeah.
And even with, you know, their kids, you know, there were certain dynamics, but at the end of the day, they all came together to make sure that his legacy and his memory and what he did was honored in the most dignified and graceful way.
It was.
Yeah.
And Chicago came out.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And he deserved it, man. And I know, you know, people want to say what they want to say, but I feel like for the most part, he got what he deserved in terms of the reverence, the way people spoke about him.
Yeah.
And it truly reflected like the life that he led, right? You know, I mean, because I worked at Operation Push in a limited capacity for a while. I worked on the broadcast, on the audio side for some years.
Yeah.
My mother was in the breadbasket choir, you know, so she was actually at the funeral in the choir stand.
Wow.
You know, and so I got to see a lot of the stuff that a lot of people didn't see. You know, I mean, I remember being there when they used to do like the turkey drives on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I remember being out there like in the freezing cold handling frozen turkeys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For hours, like giving them to people. And I mean, this was, and you know, I would complain about it back then. You know what I'm saying? It's something my mama making me do. You know, I'm like, you know, 15, 16 years old. Of course, there's other things I'd rather be doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my Thanksgiving break as opposed to out here passing out turkeys to the needy. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, but looking back on it, and it's just like nobody else was doing that for real.
See,
and on every year, consistent basis, like all that, the school back to school drives he would do, giving out all the school supplies, book bags, and all that stuff.
Go.
I mean, he helped so many people on a daily basis. This wasn't just like when the cameras were around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, and that's where integrity comes in. Integrity is when no one is watching you.
Right.
You're doing what you feel you must do. What people don't understand, they always identify Reverend as a political figure, but he was a minister of God.
Yeah.
And he grew up with that same mentality of how can I best serve, you know, in Christ.
Yeah.
And then that transition, how can I best serve in the sake of humanity and human rights? So we're so used to having him and having figures like him in Chicago, because Chicago's a very strong black political movement town.
Yeah.
But what we don't discount, and that's why I say the naysayers, is what he has done globally. There were so many people that from around the world that came in. I met the president of South Africa and the first lady, and then you have the president of the Congolese, and then you had the president of Colombia, and that was just a fraction. And then they had so many well wishes and letters and proclamations from countries all over the world, including King Charles.
Oh, wow.
This man has truly nobody, no black civil rights figure has made that level of impact for the length of time that Reverend Jessie L. Jackson has made. And I can honestly say that because that was probably a fast course of me learning about this man and then hearing the stories that his family would share off the record on the context of what happened when this happened. What was the backstory about this? And what Santita Jackson, his daughter, his oldest daughter, she's a historian herself in understanding that. And so she continues to carry his legacy through her own radio show and really just keeping that information flow in a factual way. And then you have Yusuf Jackson, who has now been appointed as the CEO of Rainbow Push, and that's his youngest son. And he's done an extraordinary job just trying to maintain.
Is that's the one that was speaking out?
No, that was Jesse Jr.
That was Jesse.
Oh, okay.
Jr.
Okay.
Yes. So, you're going to have different dynamics. I used to work for Congressman Jonathan Jackson and helping him transition from Congressman Bobby Rush's office, which I was a district director for, and for 3 years. And then when Jonathan got elected, he needed me to kind of, be there and help him transition into that role. And after about almost 6 months, I went ahead and transitioned into the private sector with APS and Associates now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we bumped heads. We ran into each other at the union.
Yes.
Thing at McCormick. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, she was sitting there telling me like, "Oh, well, that's the CEO of ComEd. That's the president of the Bears. Okay, there goes. Of course, Prickster there. You got Brandon there, and I'm sitting there like, so who's next? Who's running?" She's like, "Well, it's up in the air."
So that's what I'm kind of alluding to. Like, so like with all of our giants, like you just spoke about Bobby Rush. All the people that really held down the fort for us are either gone or on their way out, right? And who do we turn to now? Like who exists in that vacuum?
See, this is the problem. We keep on going, well, who should I run to? Who should I turn to? Who should I stay with? Yeah. It's you. See, this is why they call Generation X the silent generation, because technically we don't say shit. We just be like, oh, well, the baby boomers doing their thing and they don't want to hand us the baton. And then you got the millennials and they don't want to listen to us. So I guess we just hear. No, we've always been the influencers of culture.
Yeah.
We just need to really stand on it and get out of our own way. And that's really what it is. Think about it. Like, I came in where house music was really in our DNA in the 80s and then transitioned when I heard Rapper's Delight. I knew my world changed. Shout out to Max Records, Eddie on the West Side. And I knew that, okay, this is different. And then as I got into high school and I became part of Junior Achievement's radio program at WGCI 1390 AM. That's how I really got my entry into the business. Then we actually started playing a lot of the hip hop that commercial radio would not touch. Okay. I would be in there in Barbara Prieto's office. She was the youngest music director in the country that happened to program WGCI in the late 80s. Mexican young woman too. She was not black. From Gary. Probably my first mentor. And she was programming GCI. People didn't know that. And so she would have all of these promo records that the labels will send just on her floor. NWA, Schoolie D, Herbie Love Bug. All of these records from these independent rap labels, Fresh, Tommy Boy, all these.
Ooh, Tommy Boy.
Yes.
I need to find a Tommy Boy hoodie. That logo was cold.
Yeah. So she would have all of these independent rap labels, and I'd be like going through them like, okay, we can use this for our show. We could use this for our show. And so ask Sean Long. Sean Long was part of the same group that I was with, and we would literally go through a lot of the records that GCI FM would not touch, and we would put it on our JAAM show, and that was our first entry, and then started really understanding that game, started meeting all the record labels that would come through on Music Mondays. Music Mondays was generally the first day of the week that a lot of record company reps would come to radio stations and pitch their songs. What song that they needed to climb up the chart that week, and what song they need to introduce to their program directors. And they did this across the country. Usually most of the radio stations had a music day. Right. It was either on a Monday or a Tuesday. They had to do that because most of them had to report to Billboard by the end of Tuesday to get their chart positioning. So you had to be there on a Monday or even a Tuesday to make sure that you made that reporting. They didn't do no computers. They report on the phone. Okay, what's your playlist? Who's in what position? And so that was the thing. So I would, at one point, I would come into the lobby, and there would be about 25 to 30 record company reps in the lobby of GCI waiting to sit down with the program director and the music director.
So GCI was like basically like the main hub back then.
Yeah.
What was the Power 92 of them back then? Like,
well, you gotta understand, BMX did not last as long. When I got in, it may have been maybe another year or two of BMX, and then it faded. And so GCI was the main go-to. Yeah. And so you didn't really have any other station that was really playing a lot of house, hip-hop. Really, they weren't really playing a lot of hip-hop until later, and they were forced to do that when you had artists like LL Cool J blow up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and Run DMC blow up. And then what happened was that they started seeing that KKC was getting their numbers up.
WKKC.
I remember KKC.
Yeah.
Kennedy King, and then you had WHBK as well.
Well, but HBK had always been underground, and they would play a lot of explicit music. They don't do it now.
Facts,
but they listened to KKC. They were like, why is everybody like talking about KKC? Because KKC was playing a lot of B-sides, a lot of hip-hop, a lot of stuff that they weren't touching. And they said, oh, we got to get in on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how they got in, that's how I kind of got in.
Okay.
I was already running around doing club promotions for Hot Mix 5 when I was in high school. And they had put out a lot of records back then, too. And so they would need me to drop off records to all the clubs. And I was always looked older than my age, even though some of the club folks knew I was not of age. They still let me in. And I would drop off records to people like Frankie Knuckles and everybody else. And so that is what got me in the club promotion game. And then once that happened, I was like, you know, I'm not getting any hip hop, no rap music. And so then I learned the difference between who didn't want the rap, which was pretty much predominantly a lot of the house clubs didn't want to touch it. Half of them were gay clubs. They thought it was misogynistic and homophobic, and so they wouldn't touch it. And then you had the other ones who were more, you know, more standard R&B, a little bit of stepper in between, and they were like, ah. And then that's when I discovered the underground scene, who were like, bring more, bring more. Yeah. So my college radio stations were pretty much the ones that I would go to make sure that I had some airplay.
Wow. So you came like the very start of like, cause me, like, I've always listened to radio because of my brother, but like to see it come from that standpoint, from like it being everything, like everybody listened to radio. Like my mom listened to radio every day. Every Sunday, it was always the battles.
Battle of the Best, Herb Kent.
With Herb Kent.
The Cool Gent.
You know what I'm saying? And then during the week, it was like my sister in the morning time listening to rap music and music.
Yeah, Tom Joyner in the morning.
Yeah,
Doug Banks in the morning. So you had the Hot Boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a plethora of a lot of people that put it into Chicago radio. Like, I've always been like kind of disappointed now where I wish Chicago radio would be just as big as New York radio. Like, I wish they would have transitioned.
It was at one point.
Yeah,
I mean, the problem is that you have a different leadership at radio now that don't really care about the community in that vein.
Yeah, because like I've always had this argument, and I was just like, yo, like GCI Power 92, why can't y'all have like your YouTube like a Breakfast Club or a Hot 97, like have something separate? You know what I'm saying, to create that noise.
GCI does that a little bit.
Well, I mean, they do it with Tone with What More Can I Say podcast.
Yeah. They were doing that, especially like when Leon was on. He used to do a lot with that in the morning.
And he still does. Leon does his thing. But it goes back again. Are you willing to take the risk? And I don't see that risk-taking attitude because it's so corporate.
Yeah.
See, you have some good talent in some of the programmers, but their hands are tied when they have somebody over them saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you must stand still. No, you must pull back. And then they apply this cookie cutter approach to this market. So they want to put, it works in New York, so the New York people must be working for Chicago. Chicago's a whole different planet.
Absolutely.
Everybody has its own individuality.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it's nurtured in that way, you may have a breakout, another version of the Breakfast Club, but it has to be nurtured in that way. And unfortunately, the powers that be, I'm not saying anybody here in Chicago programming GCI, so I don't get sensitive. But what I'm saying is that when you have a corporate mindset and there is people way above the food chain, they're going to implement what they feel is best across the board.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a customized version of what we know has the potential to grow, because we grew up with a Doug Banks and a Tom Joyner.
Right.
We grew up with all these fabulous on-air personalities when there was an Elroy Smith in the market who actually helped groom and help nurture these personalities to come out.
Yeah.
And we don't have that type of autonomy when it comes to programming the way that you feel you want to lead.
Yeah, that's why you have to, like, a lot of these that had like mix shows so they can play what they want, or total request and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's and radio had a bit more of a monopoly. Outside of television, but like in terms of like if you want to listen to music, like outside of like if you didn't have a CD player, I remember my first car didn't have a tape player or a CD player in it. Like all I had was the radio.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So so there were a lot of people like that. So the audience that the radio had was much larger than it is now.
Oh yeah.
I even remember somebody reminded me this the other day, the type of stuff that people used to do on the radio that you can never do now. Like, you remember Doug Banks had the soap opera It's Your World?
Mm-hmm.
I remember. Okay, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
It's just like stuff like that would happen, and and you would tune in every week because you want to know. Like, because sometimes my mom would be taking me to school and it'd be on, and like, oh yeah, what happened on It's Your World this week? You know what I'm saying?
I still listen to the prank phone calls, I think, on the Steve Harvey show.
Yeah.
That they be doing. I still
still
catch
do
it up
that?
sometimes. Yeah. I always die laughing because they be going all out.
Yeah.
So like in the radio, in the radio sense of when you got into the radio, what was your after you left GCI? Like, what was after that?
Oh my God. Well, I'm a college dropout. I wanted to be behind the scenes on the programming side for radio, and it just was not happening. The program director at the time, I'm not going to shout him out because I don't want him to think I'm talking about him, but he kept on stringing me along and saying, yeah, we got something for you, and it just did not come to fruition. And so what I had to do was carve my own destiny. How did that happen? I stepped to Pat Edwards, who at the time was the Motown regional, and I said, hey, is there any work, anything that I can do at Motown? And she was like, you may have to intern. I'm like, intern? I've been working at GCI, working the board, doing this part-time, doing that. Why would I need to start all over again? And she's like, because radio is different from records.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that you find some type of internship. And I tell her this today. She goes, I didn't know that. I said that. I said, yeah. And so then I went to another gentleman who I love to death, Wayne Lewis, who was the Polygram regional rep. I said, Wayne, do you have any internships? Yeah, you can come be my intern for free. I ain't paying you.
You gotta pay these dudes.
Right. And I was like, I gotta have something, some kind of, bus card or something.
Right.
Because I was, staying with my mom. And so what happened was a woman who was over the regional Midwest for all the BMG distributed labels for retail. Her name is Karen Ross. She and I talked, and she said, look, I will pay you $50 a week. It's not a lot. Do some runs for me. You'll be my intern. And at the time, BMG handled Jive Records, RCA Records, Arista Records, Zamba, and I think a couple others. And they were out there in Oak Brook Terrace. And so I had to...
out there in the suburbs.
Yeah, so I had to take a couple buses, get out there at least 3 days a week for her. And then eventually I tricked my mom into getting me a hoopty to work for this paralegal at this law firm, which I hated. I tricked her and got, she paid for the little Chevette in order for me to work this part-time job. And I lasted maybe 2 weeks, and I was running around with that Chevette packed full of records in the back, because that's what I wanted to do. And meanwhile, I'm going to these label reps, say, hey, I can do street promotions. Consider me. They say, oh, we have record pools. We don't need you to physically go out and give records to DJs. We have record pools. Now, I'm already in my innovative state, like, no, but there's a service that I can provide that you all are not doing. A lot of these DJs are not members of record pools. And for those that don't know, record pool is basically a monthly service that's provided that includes a lot of DJs that want to pay for this monthly service to get records that are served directly to this group it's sort of like an aggregator of music. And so all the labels will send it to this one record pool, and then whoever's a member will get those records. Some of them good, some of them bad.
Right.
Well, a lot of them did not, because they were like, why am I paying and then half my records is crap?
Right.
So I said, well, let me be the one to deliver them. So that got shot down. I said, nah, this doesn't feel right. I know there's something to this.
Yeah.
And so from time to time, Kathy Carroll, who I had dinner with last week, beautiful, she was working at Illinois Bell. And she was doing some stuff for Chuck Arrington, who was the MCA regional at the time. At MCA, they had all the hot hits back then. They had Patti LaBelle. They had, you name it. They had Ralph Tresvant. They had Bobby Brown. They had all these key people, New Edition. And so she was running around as a quote-unquote assistant for Chuck, but she was also doing club promotion. So then me and her befriended each other. And she's also one that would help Rob out, R. Kelly, a lot. He would sit at her kitchen table and she would feed him a lot. Like, Kathy was that person that was very nurturing. And so from time to time, she was like, hey, can you run this record over for me? And I said, okay, great. And can you run this record for me? So we would help each other out a lot. And she was sort of like my big sister. So fast forward, I'm at that point. My mom's like, you got to figure this out because you ain't making no money and you ain't going back to school. So I ran into a gentleman who was the first black branch manager in the country for a major distributor, Ben Sheets. And Ben Sheets was the branch manager for Universal Music Distribution. And they had an office out there in Itasca. And so he brought me in for an interview for a receptionist job. So, hey, look for a receptionist. So as I'm sitting there and I'm interviewing for the receptionist job, he goes, look, I see you a lot. I see you out here. I see you hustling. I see you out and about. I see you at the Cotton Club all the time. I would go to some of the industry events and nights that you do.
The Cotton Club was like a big thing back then.
That was a big deal. That was a big deal. Everybody, they had the front part where they would have the performances on the Monday night open mic. Everybody from Bernie Mac would host it. And then, at times you would have Rob come through and sing. You have all these amazing people. And then the back part was more of the club part. And that was the part where they call us the Midwest Posse. All the record company reps from the black music divisions would come and drink and bring their artists who they had coming through for promo. So on any given week, you might have a promo for Howard Hewitt. You may have a promo release party for, Shantae Moore. You may have a promo release party for all of these amazing artists that we look up to now.
I'll be sure.
It would be in the back of the Cotton Club.
I remember my sister begged my mom to go to the Cotton Club because I'll be sure was having a listening party or something. And she was like, I got to go, Mom. I got to go. She was like, no, you're not going.
Look, it was even the comedians. It was the who's who. I couldn't stand Corey Holcomb. I would hate when his ass would be on stage and I would have to come through that front part because you couldn't come through the front door without passing the front stage.
Okay.
And so whoever was the comedian, if they wanted to really rail on you, they would. And every time when I would come through, Corey ass would be on stage. And I would be like, God, I do not want to be bothered with this Negro. And so every time I would try to tiptoe past, hey, Queen Latifah.
Power to the people.
And I'll be like, I can't stand him. But it would be that kind of, the joking and the prodding and all of that. And so back to Ben Sheets, we're sitting across from each other. I'm thinking, okay, I really need this receptionist job.
Right.
And so he was like, I think that I have something much better for you. And I think that you can handle it. We're looking for a product development manager who can oversee the retail in the Midwest for all of our black music projects under these labels. And you will be responsible for making sure that the record stores are covered, their inventory in terms of what they're, what they need to bring in. You won't be selling to them, but you'll be basically the point person to make sure that they have the product and making sure, and making sure they're reporting these songs as it pertains to the priority, because retail was just as valuable as radio when it came to reporting to Billboard. And so I was like, what? And so this was a new division.
Because they basically got to record, like, probably at the end of the week, I'm assuming. They had to, like, okay, I sold 4,200 this album.
This was before SoundScan.
Right.
So we could do a lot of maneuvering, sort of say. So, a lot of maneuvering. So if I wanted to push a particular record up the charts and I had my list of Billboard reporters in Chicago or my list of Billboard reporters in Detroit, Cleveland, St. Louis. So the bigger the market, the more reporters that you had. And they can be, anywhere from Fletcher's One Stop to Barney's One Stop to Max to George's Music Room to Petmo's, Partey's Records. All these key people were reporters for me. I had to be creative. Okay, I know that Sony across the way is working this new Michael Jackson. They're going to give you 1,000 clean cassettes. Clean means it's not broken to look like it's a promo. They can sell it.
Okay.
So if I'm giving you, if they're giving you 1,000 cleans so you can sell, well, I got to up that with, a new edition and say, okay, well, I'm going to give you 2,000 cleans. I need you to move this record from the position of 15 on the R&B charts. I need you to move it to 10 this week. So there was a lot of maneuvering, and this is how SoundScan came into play, because sometimes the reports weren't always the most accurate in terms of I could be sitting on about 5,000 cleans and may only be able to sell 2,000 of them. But they're items that I may be able to move down the road, and therefore I got my record up to number one. And so we were playing this little dance as labels, as distributors. And that's how SoundScan came into effect, to make sure that what you reported was an accurate assessment of what was being sold, and they needed to scan and monitor that. But the flip side was that they was also monitoring it black consumerism.
Wow.
See, by the time the white stores or stores in white neighborhoods found out that a NWA was actually selling a shitload of units in the black stores, it might be a month later. And so what they were doing was like, we're losing ground on finding out in real time what independent records were moving, were actually selling. So we need to monitor this computerized.
That's crazy. Like that I never thought about it from that standpoint. Like I just thought you have the record store, go and buy the records. Like I never the business behind them getting the records, pushing the records. Hey, he's in town. We're gonna do an in-store with you here. We're gonna do an in-store there. Hey, this is how it's gonna roll.
But
Go ahead.
I know. So I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. So basically, so you're saying SoundScan really came about, well, not only because like they wanted to report accurately, but basically you're saying like, you know, like we've like black people push the culture, right? We determined what was hot. So in order for the other people that were selling records to be able to keep up, whatever. So it was basically a way of leveling the playing field for them. So they got the correct information.
Absolutely. And, you know, with this being, I'm going to tell you this. So as I was the product development manager, that might have lasted for about a year. And I started really working a lot of rap promo on the side. And I just wasn't into doing the jazz stuff and all the other boring stuff. So Universal said, no, my MCA rap director, he said, look, when you go in the next couple of days, they're going to let you go because they want to move. They're phasing out the Motown retail rep, and they're going to move him into your position. But once they let you go, call me because I'm going to hire you to do all my rap promotions. So that's exactly how it played out. But when they were telling me, I already knew, right? So I called. His name is Brute Bailey. He called him. I said, okay, they let me go. He goes, bet. I want you to work young black teenagers. I want you to work. I got this Rexon Effect.
Wow, Rexon
Rum
Effect.
Shaker.
Yeah, Teddy Riley.
Yeah. I worked some records. And so
I remember young black teenagers. I
tap the bottle and twist the cap.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember young black teenagers?
No, I don't. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
They were three white guys, three white kids from Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, it was crazy back then. That wasn't 90s yet. Was that the 90s?
Yeah, that was
early 90s.
It was early 90s.
I didn't know if that was like 89, 90, somewhere.
Yeah, it was about 90, 89, 90, because I was like straight out of, when I worked for Universal, I wasn't even 21, and I had this position. And so I started doing rap promotions for MCA, and I formed my company On the Street Promotions in about 90. Doing such a great job. That's when they called me the commercial hip hop promoter. It was like, she's so commercial. You know, I wasn't like grimy and shit like everybody.
No, I mean, you doing what's on the radio, though.
Yeah, so I was, helping push, alternate type of programs and mix show and all of that. And so I guess I was making a little noise because Def Jam came along, and the VP of Def Jam at the time, Wes Johnson, was good friends with Brute Bailey, who was my boss and VP of rap promotions at MCA. They were, both from the Baltimore, Maryland area, came up in that whole little government espionage set and went off and started doing the entertainment portion. Brute was actually a radio guy before he became a label guy, and that's how Wes got to know him. And Wes said, hey, I'm looking for somebody who can be a part of our promotions team that we're forming at Def Jam. Do you have somebody in mind? And he was like, yeah, I got this, there's a girl out of Chicago. I'm like, okay, bet. We need somebody out of Chicago too. So they flew me out to New York, my first time to New York. Flew me out to New York and said, okay, well, we want to consider to hire you, but we don't want you in Chicago. We want to relocate you to Dallas. And I'm like, Dallas, but I know these streets in Chicago. Why would you relocate me to Dallas? I don't know. They were trying to
overlook Chicago.
Well, my good friend Chili Q, shout out to Chili. He was, he was that guy breaking a lot of music on HBK, and they wanted him to be the Def Jam rep for Chicago because they felt like, we need a really strong male presence. He's doing this thing with HBK, blah blah blah. I said, and so I had to really pray over this because I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to go to Texas. And a good friend at the time, Dr. Groove, Jeffrey Watts, he gave me the best advice. He said, look, you have a great opportunity. Don't make the job you make the job. And I went down there to Dallas, relocated on a shit salary. When I look back, I said, oh my God, they got one. They got me good. And went ahead, moved down there, and worked the Southwest region for Def Jam.
Oh, okay.
And so that included Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana.
So wait, in the 90s.
So, because in Texas, I mean, you obviously had Rap A Lot. That was down there. I know you got Suave House.
Yeah.
That was like more Memphis.
Well, Suave House was Houston.
Suave House was Houston.
Yeah.
You know what? Because 8-Ball and MJG was on Suave House, and they were from Memphis, right? Suave House was Houston. You're right. And but Rap A Lot was like Houston, but kind of like
it was
Port Arthur, kind of.
Yeah, Rap A Lot was straight Texas, Louisiana, that whole Southwest region. But it was also another brother who was killing the game that people did not know up here, Magic Mike. He had that whole Southern Southwest movement, DJ Magic Mike, and he was selling crazy units out of his trunk. Straight millionaire. And people like up north like, who was DJ Magic Mike? And DJ Magic Mike was moving more units than Rap A Lot. But here's the other part. Rap A Lot didn't blow up until Chicago. Until Chicago put them on the map here. Because remember, and I don't know if you all can remember this, but before I went off to Def Jam, I also did a lot of street promotions for this brother who was a big concert promoter at the time, Doc Brown. Doc Brown was the first real promoter that brought a lot of the hip hop artists to the amphitheater when it was still, open over there on Halstead.
I passed
in the
by
Bridgeport.
all the time. Yeah.
And so he hired me to do all his flyer and street promotions, putting up the poster boards, the whole nine, old school. And so he brought in a lot of artists for their very first time in Chicago, including helping Save the Children with Ghetto Boys and all of them. Now, Jay Prince connected with GD's here for that.
Yeah.
So the amphitheater was that go-to venue for a lot of the early 90 artists to come through and do their thing. And it filled up to 10,000 people. And so Rap A Lot broke free here. And that was based on the GDs, because even those that were locked down, their relatives had to buy a ticket for them. You hear me? Even if I was locked down and I was a GD, one of my relatives had to buy a ticket on my behalf to honor that concert. And that's how the Ghetto Boys and Rap A Lot was broken.
I always wonder that connection between the Ghetto Boys and Chicago.
Yeah.
I knew it was like a GD situation. I never knew how that came about.
I mean, so I knew about, I always knew Jay Prince was plugged. I didn't know about that though.
Yeah. And he's still, look, to this day, Jay, he owns the Masters. He gonna tell you Chicago is a major reason why their success is to that level. Not to say that they weren't kicking ass down there in their home state, but when and this goes for any record, if you can break a record in Chicago, you can break a record anywhere else. They monitor to this day how the activity is doing in Chicago. Yeah. And that's why, I will say to anyone, the music that I help promote, the music that I help break, the music that I help to really break through, it changed lives. Artists may not know me personally, but they know my work because Chicago is such a tough market to break through.
I can see that. I could definitely see how like Chicago is a tough market to break through because we just from a different culture. Like you really gotta move us.
Yes.
Like we really gotta buy your ticket and really fuck with your music to support you.
But when we do fuck with you, we fuck with you all the way.
Yeah, and you got to get creative. I mean, I did that, and I hated being down there in Dallas. I don't know so much of hated the label. I just hated being in Dallas. Dallas was not a Chicago. Dallas did not have that personality, but it didn't have that black entrepreneurship, that black empowerment of speaking up and vocalizing what you thought, how you moved, how you really made sure your presence was there. It was very laid back. It was very complicit to the system down there. And I didn't feel that there was enough growth, but at the same time, I didn't feel I had the support system to help me grow in that environment. And I quit Def Jam.
Damn.
So how long did you last in Dallas?
A year.
Oh, okay. I mean, you gave it 365 days.
Mr. Harold's. Need my Uncle Remus.
Yeah, a year. And I came back, and within 4 months of me coming back, I joined George's Music Room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to George James.
I saw George last week at the Legends of Comedy show at Eric Crown Theater. And I just looked at him. I told him, I'm like, bro, I got to sit down with you.
Yeah.
Because I know you got stories on top of stories.
He does.
Yeah.
Oh, man, just call my phone. I'm like, I don't even know who to contact for you, fam.
I mean, and he's such a man, like he's such a treasure. And just to say, you see him out all the time.
And he's always fresh.
Always fresh. But it's just the energy that he moves with. Like the youthful exuberance that he still has to this day, man. Like, he's definitely.
I've seen him at the Ratchet of Ratchet.
Oh,
I'd be like,
I was at Ditch Day last week.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And here come Mr. Daniels in there.
That same day,
and he in there by himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Moving around, man, having a ball.
That same day, I was like, so what you been up to today? He like, I went to the Ditch Day. He like, I've been outside all day. He was supposed to get up with Mac later after me here. And he's talking so fast. I'm like, who are you with? With nobody. By myself. All right, yo, man, I'll take you later. Jesus.
So I want to ask you, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day about breaking records, right? And how like these things happen, and how like sometimes it takes a while for things like that to happen. So remember Guapole?
Yeah.
So that, her biggest record, That Closer to My Dreams.
Yeah.
They still play that, you know what I'm saying? Especially with TikToks and all that.
Yeah.
I remember when I first heard that album, it was like 2003, right? When that album first came out. I remember, but so I was at Bakari House and Kamada was playing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, who is this? What is this song? I used to play that album out. And then but it took so long. Like that song probably didn't break for like another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Right? And it kind of built organically. So in all of your years of working, trying to like break records, pushing music, pushing artists, promoting artists, like, do you have any other examples like that? Or a record it was something that you knew like it was going to break eventually, it just kind of took a little while?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to tell you one that reminds me of Gualape.
Did I pronounce it wrong?
No.
Okay.
Adriana Evans. I don't know if you remember this artist, Adriana Evans, on PMP. And Adriana Evans was, to me, one of the first, what you would consider a neo soul type of artist. And she had a killer project. And so it was one of those things where I would just push. And it started to kind of bubble up on this whole vibe. The same thing with Chico DeBarge. Because I worked Kadar Entertainment as well. So, you had Erykah Badu, which I'm going to tell you, and I will tell Erykah this to this day, I was responsible for breaking that Erykah Badu On and On. Elroy did not like the song.
Really?
He did not like the record On and On. He felt that the song, that she sounded too old. That the whole Billie Holiday vibe, oh, she sounded old. So I had to really go hard in the street. And I said, well, what's the vibe? What's the vibe here? Because I don't work records in a cookie cutter environment. I have to kind of dissect and say, okay, who would really like this? What would fit? And so, and I love dancing. So I had to kind of like, my vibe, steppers. So I went to Gerald Jones at the time had Nightlife Record Pool, and he had it out of the Taste Entertainment Center.
Taste.
Wow.
Every Wednesday, he would have his stepper DJs, and they would meet up, and they would allow us to come in as reps and play the music for them. And so I brought On and On, had it on vinyl, and let them hear it. And I knew they was going to like it because of the two-step.
Yeah, it's a smooth steppers
right?
record, yeah.
And I said, okay, let me just sit back. And they said, run that back again. And so they would play it again. They was like, yeah, I'm feeling this. All the main stepper DJs was in that room when they heard On and On. And so I got their feedback. I would come back the following week, get my report. What's your feedback on that? Oh, no, we feeling that. Then they started playing the instrumental. So then I would go to my hip hop DJs. Say, yo, what's your thoughts on this? Yo, we love that instrumental. Yeah. So they would play instrumental and then do an acapella over it with somebody else.
Right.
And that was the other way of helping to break R&B records that weren't really getting that push yet. Was giving the hip hop DJs the instrumental portion of it so that they can go ahead and do their own thing and throw on a hip hop vocals. And so On and On was one of those things. So it got pressure on the station to go, y'all better pick this up. Y'all better pick this. So my stepper DJs, shout out to Herb Kent, shout out to Sam Chapman, shout out to Gerald Jones and all the rest of them that really helped break On and On. And then it pushed it to get her a promo tour. And then we premiered her live at the Dome Room, which was the other side of Excalibur at the time. And she, once they saw her live, it was a wrap.
It was a wrap. I've been to at least 4, and we're going to see Erykah in Philly.
Right, she is going to be there. Yeah.
So I went to the Chicago Theater. Mama's Gun. Amazing show.
I'm telling you. So that's a great example. Another one from here locally is Teresa Griffin and The Wonderful record. Yeah. And, Teresa's a fabulous artist. She's one that is so underrated in terms of people really like, until they hear her voice, they go, oh, I didn't know that was her. Yeah. But she's one of those artists, too, that really don't need radio because she has such a great bass and a great loyal following.
A very, very loyal.
Yeah, but her project, I worked with her on from the very beginning, and she had Wonderful, which was a ballad. And we worked Wonderful at radio as a ballad, and I was like, we got to do something with the house DJs. So we had already had another single that we pushed, and we brought in Terry, and I introduced Terry and Teresa and said, hey, need to do something, blah, blah, blah. And so he did another record with her, and it didn't really do much on the house tip, but then he's like, I really like this Wonderful. And so we would talk about it. I said, well, why don't you do it? And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And so we had Winter Music Conference coming up, and which was really big at the time in March. And I said, look, we got Winter Music Conference. That'd be a great way to break out new, house records and dance records. I need y'all to, push this out. So he goes, okay, cool. Went ahead. He brought in Teresa's bassist, Glenn, to do the riff. Doom, 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 doom.
Right.
So Glenn came in and did that bass riff, which to me is just a classic riff that made that remix hot.
Yeah, he's a bad boy.
Yes. Yeah. And so she went in, she recut the vocals. She had this fabulous sister who was like an editor, and she came in and she just spliced and cut and whatever and stacked the vocals for Terry to go in there and just remix this ballad that turned into one of the biggest house records to this day to me. And so that was a song that was bubbling under. Even though even at the time that we released it, it didn't hit.
Right.
But then gradually you started hearing more and more. And like within, I would say 3 years, all of a sudden it was like
everywhere.
Boom, you know? And she is still probably one of the most requested records that she has when she performs. She knows she has to perform that version. It's like ballad. We didn't know that was a ballad.
Right.
That's like recently I was listening to an artist named Reese. Mm-hmm. She was.
Are you talking about RES?
RES. She opened up for Music Soul Child when he first came out of the House of Blues, and I was sold. I went to the next day. I went and brought the album.
That Golden Boys. That was a great.
I don't know for what reason now it's being played on TikTok a lot because Doechii had posted a video of her singing it.
Yeah.
And she reposted it, and now it's just like kind of bubbling and giving her a second wind.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think her streamers went up tremendously.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I put a little paragraph like, yo, this album was amazing. It was her and Remy Shan.
Oh wow.
Remy Shan.
Those two albums are classic.
You know, it was crazy. You know what happened to him?
No.
His wife left him. He went into a super deep depression after that album. Because you know that album, we used to play that album all the time. It was a classic. So, it was something to that effect. But I can't if it was his wife or something. He got left, right? And he went into this super deep depression.
That's when you write. It's when you go into these deep.
Yeah. Matter of fact, when we had McKinney up here, it was the one part I failed to mention that because I was telling Jake bro, if you can find Remy Shan and have him do Promontory and just have him do that album, I don't think that would sell. He a lot of people don't know about him like that.
So a lot of people don't. I would play his records to this day. You know what I'm saying? I still got some Remy Shan on my playlist. Yeah. And people hear man, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, he's the first Robin Thicke.
right, yeah, on some Blue Eyed Soul shit. You know what I'm saying?
So you had the pleasure of working with the R&B king, R. Kelly, in the very beginning.
No. Let me tell you, I've never worked with Rob like that at all.
I mean, not worked, but you've seen him.
So I've seen Rob. Let me tell you, Kathy Carroll. I'm gonna go back to Kathy. Kathy had worked with Rob and worked their very first song with MGM. R. Kelly and MGM, and he at the time was being managed by Eric Payton. And I remember she needed some help with the clubs, and she gave me about 4 or 5 boxes of vinyl. She's like, man, can you help me? Can you make sure some of this gets out to the clubs, and I'll work some stuff on my end? I said, no problem. I think we did that. And that is what led to him getting the deal with Jive Records with Wayne Williams. And, Rob just had an amazing voice, but he had MGM, which initially rolled into Public Announcement.
Right.
And so I remember when I was in Dallas, I had, Russell and Leora and all them made sure that the Def Jam reps wore several hats, and Def Jam comedy was starting to happen. And so we were responsible for not only Def Jam music, we was responsible for Fat Farm and Def Jam comedy. So I had Def Jam comedy in New Orleans. And Rob was coming through. It was his first promo tour with Public Announcement. And so my Jive counterpart, Gregory, he was like, I got Rob. I know you from Chicago. They from Chicago. I said, yeah. I know Rob. And I knew Earl and all of them. So when they came through the club, I made sure to get Rob a birthday cake because it was his birthday. And so everybody's having a good time. And so Greg's like, man, I want you to roll with us to Baton Rouge if you want to ride with us, because I know you need to do some radio promo. I said, yeah, that'd be great. You know, the guys were like, yeah, we want you to ride with us. We ain't seen you. You know how you are when you see somebody from the crib.
Yeah.
Right.
So then the following morning, getting ready to go, and I get a call, and Greg's like, yeah, so Rob doesn't want you to ride with the fellas. I said, really? Why? What, you know, what's going on? Well, you know, because he's going to be talking guy. He's saying guy talk. I said, guy talk, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to go into it, but Rob tried to get with one of my good girlfriends, and she totally turned him down, like crushed his feelings. And so I was guilty by association, and that's all he can kind of focus on was, I know her girl told him. Yeah. I know her. And yes, she did. But that didn't have nothing to do with me. But Rob had, you know, he had his own little way about him. And so I got X'd out that trip going to Baton Rouge. But at the end of the day, I just said, hey, it's going to blow up. He's going to blow up, and he's going to do his thing. And so that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, he took off from that point on.
Yeah. And I think it was You Got That Vibe. That was the
That was that vibe.
That was his first
vibe.
Yeah.
Girl, you get. I remember that joint. That Honey Love.
Yeah.
That was all at the same
Love
time.
took it up, yeah.
Yeah.
That-
No, but
'cause
Vibe was definitely the first one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honey Love went up because they played it in
The movie. The
Boys in
soundtrack.
was it not Boys in the Hood? Minister Society.
It was Minister Society.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Jada Pick was playing.
And I remember the video.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was back in the box.
Pour
Yeah.
honey
He was pouring honey on it.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and that was, you know, for you know, young teenage boys such as myself, videos like that were like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, why is this dude doing this?
Yeah, man. But you know, it was. Yeah, because that's how when we talk about the box, that's how I remember young black teenagers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just so many obscure things that you would see, but it was kind of like, it was audience, all it was completely audience driven.
Yeah.
The box. Now, I broke a lot of records because of the box, because I worked a lot of Ratchet records, too.
Was you
So Ratchet
Did you
records
have like
what?
4 or 5 foes? Like, call it in.
Akinelli was probably a real Ratchet record that I worked.
Was it to put it in your mouth?
Yeah. Put in your mouth. I worked that one.
Crazy record.
I remember, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I remember when that song first came out, and Ian, some friends of ours, Ian, my brother, and I was in the back seat.
And they kept playing that
They
shit.
kept playing. You was in the car. You was using
I
the
was
car.
in the
with-
car.
Yeah, we on
I
the
was
way.
in the car.
We on the way. So we drove to Forest City. We was going.
Yes,
to Forest
we
City.
did.
They played that song the
whole
whole way
way.
there.
Wow.
Just kept rewind. And, you know,
And it wasn't like he was dope lyrically. It was just
we can't believe he sang. Put it in her mouth.
right. It was just like this. Like, it's just certain. You know, it's certain songs that just didn't age well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
It's
one of them.
definitely one of those. Like,
Yeah.
because I sit here and I'm going back into watching shows,
Yeah.
and like one of my favorite shows that I've watched a million times is Entourage.
Yeah.
And Ari Gold is my ultimate. He's like my alter ego. Like, he is fucking amazing. But I'm like, bro, this show would not last today.
Yeah. It
Because the
wouldn't.
way he
It
used to
was
talk to people.
So politically incorrect.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you talking about Ratchet Records? So that was Akinelli was one.
Yeah, that was one. I worked HWA. Shout out to Kim them.
Oh wow, yeah.
Local, well, not really local, but because she was under HWA was under Eazy-E's
Right.
label, but that was
She was the
pretty
owner
ratchet
of
too.
50 Yard Line.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50. Right. Yeah.
And she still be out. I follow her on the gram. I just be looking like, Lord
Yeah,
Jesus.
Joe Willie's shout out.
Man.
Oh, Joe Willis is her?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
All that is hers.
But Kim was like, I love Kim because at the end of the day, you know, she was easy to work with, her and Tony, But that was, that was at that time. And people were like, oh my God, I can't believe. And then you fast forward and you look at what you're seeing now. And it's like kids play what they were doing back then.
Oh, yeah. When you talking about, you guys, people like Sexy Red.
Yeah.
Doing what she doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the HWA was.
I am so glad we're over the Sexy Red era.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am so, like, Dolce was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, Dolce. I love me some Dolce.
Like, now we're getting back into the bars and actually having music.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't understand the Dolce hype at first, but I saw her perform. She was at one music festival. I saw her like last year. She came, so she was here for Lala.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Lala, but Isaiah Rashad was at the Riviera, and she came through and performed a little bit with him, and it was just like Isaiah Rashad is dope.
Yeah.
But when she came on stage, it was like, okay, yeah, that's a star.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like some people just have that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she was also kind of a slow burn, but when she caught on fire, that was somehow straight napalm.
But see, that's a perfect example of you have to be consistent with what you're doing. You know, it's not going to be, and for some it is. But for the most part, if you want to really be consistent and stay in this business, it has to be a marathon.
Right.
You have to just be quality and be, in what you need to do. I'm glad she's not a one-hitter. I've worked a lot of one-hitters that did really well, but then they just didn't follow up.
Yeah.
Jaru the Damager. Love Jaru the Damager. But, just
Danger.
didn't. Yeah, that
was Blase.
That was
Jerry the Damager was Come Clean.
Yeah, Come Clean.
So I actually, it definitely didn't do as well. But his second album, Wrath and the Math, I actually like that one better than The Sunrise in the East. But that's that's personal opinion.
Yeah, and you're dealing with label stuff. I mean, but we working with DOS Effects, Big L. Like I worked a lot of really dope hip hop classics.
They have a Big L documentary coming out. Oh. And I think I want to say Mass Appeal is part of it with his family.
Okay.
And I can't wait to come out. Because I was a Big L fan.
Yeah.
And then
I love Big L. I mean, he just was so sweet. And that's the thing when you work with these artists, they come through your market, you have to spend 2 or 3 days with them, and you see that other side. Even with Wu-Tang was the first time they ever been in Chicago. I had to, deal with them and put together their promo.
Experience? It
was an experience, but I'm gonna tell you who I ended up enjoying was ODB. ODB, ooh, he was the problem child, but he was one of those cats that he was very outspoken. He didn't hold his tongue. He let you know what was on his mind. And then you had to just kind of calm him down once he was kind of up here. You had to bring him back down a bit. Yeah. And then the beautiful thing is I knew who were going to be the breakout stars of Wu-Tang because they were the only ones that wanted to roll to do their promo visits. The ones that did not want to do the promo visits, stayed back at the hotel, are the ones that did not have a big solo career.
Yeah. I can see that.
And that, I mean, even with Meth would be in the back of the van, high as hell, sleeping, but he was going to each promo run. RZA was going, ODB was going. Like they really kind of wanted to get more inside of, okay, what's going on? Because a lot of them had not been outside of their neighborhood.
Right.
Steve Rifkin had them on a $35 a day stipend, and it was around the holiday time. So every time we would stop,
they would get $35 a day?
A $35 a day stipend, which had to cover their meals. Imagine $35 a day. Even your meals, even back then, your phone calls, all of that. And cell phones were not plentiful back then.
Right, yeah, you had to go to a payphone.
So every stop we had, they were like, can I use your phone? Can I use your phone? So if we go to record stores, they'd be like, can I use your phone? And every stop, they would use the phone and cuss out Steve Rifkin.
35. I'm on the McDonald's diet right now. I'm living off the dollar menu.
And that was one of those things. They were signed to Loud Records, and that's what was going on. A lot of these independent startup labels, a lot of them weren't owned by us. Was discovering this talent, and they were signing them and giving them little small advance bonuses to pretty much own their creators, their creatives.
Yeah.
And so this is what's going on now. People trying to get their masters back.
How do you feel about Chicago music now? Because you've, like you said, you've been there from GCI to BMX from the very beginning, and then seeing
everything from the house scene, the hip hop scene, the R&B scene. You just see a lot, and I feel that we always will be a beacon of talent, whether you like the drill set, whether you like the R&B, whether you like certain aspects of it. I just feel that it has to be represented authentically. I feel that and this is why I do Global Mix, is the conference, so that the creative is great, but you got to understand the business aspect of it.
Yeah. And
I think that's where we kind of mess up.
How many years you been doing that Global Mix now?
We started Global Mix 2005. So we're working on this is the 21st year, but the conference itself is going to be the 17th conference this year that we're producing.
Oh, nice.
And we're changing up some things because we're in a space where you really have to progress with what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And when we kicked it back, I had to take a 3-year hiatus during the pandemic because I was working for a congressional rep, and we kicked it back off in 2020. Was it 2023? And everybody was like, "Oh my God!" It was just refreshing because everyone wanted to do virtual. I said, "No, that's not what Global Mix is about. Global Mix is about interaction, being in the present, being right there, socially fellowshipping, because relationships is what really allows you to stay grounded in this business. You can be on Zoom calls all day. I get it. I'm there. But it's nothing like breaking bread with somebody. It's nothing like going to somebody's city and seeing them in their environment. It's nothing like really having that one-on-one time.
Right.
And so that is what Global Mix is about, is making sure that you're there in the present, understanding what the business and the business model is at the time, and then integrating that in what you're doing. But at the same time, you're getting to meet people you would not have been able to meet in your own personal way.
Yeah. So about that, so you've been doing this for a while now, right, with the Global Mix. So was film always a part of it? Did that kind of branch out? So how has it grown over the years? And when did the film become a part of it?
We kicked in film as one kind of masterclass back in 2013.
Okay.
And I really love the fact that people were just engaged. And what I was seeing was that a lot of our music folks were doing film. They were kind of dabbing into that. Not just like music videos, but many docuseries. I did one myself on Pink House and his legacy.
Pink House, yeah.
And it was just like, at the time, you're like, people love that visual. And you're just trying to figure out, well, how can I get more information on this, and how can I learn? And then you had film people trying to get more information on the music side. And so we transitioned in 2018, 2019 into one day, no, it was 2015 to 2019, one day film, one day music.
Okay.
So we'll have a day for all the film people, a day for all the music people. And that worked pretty well. I would bring in my people who knew film, because I was just like, I don't know the film industry like that. Right. I don't know who's who and what they do. I just want to make sure we have a platform for them. And so shout out to David Leonard, who has been down with me since the very beginning of us kicking off the film portion. And David is a great location manager for The Shy, and he just finished up the Barbershop series, and he's here. And David comes from the music side too, and did a great transition into the film side. So he's my go-to when it comes to making sure that we bring in the right panelists and right speakers for some of the topics of discussion that film people want and need right now. And so we've been doing that. And then from this point on, when I brought it back in 2023, I decided, let's just combine one day.
Okay.
Because at this point, everybody's doing pretty much integration of
Yeah.
everything. So why separate the days?
Yeah, I've went through like rabbit holes on YouTube. The last episode I talked to McKinney about corporate and his series.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, YouTube is getting algorithmic. So like when you watch one web series like that,
It's
it'll
going to keep
show
showing you everything and
Yeah.
things
a
like
whole
that.
bunch of like from this one cat in Atlanta. I'm watching his joints. I'm watching this dude from Houston,
Right.
and I'm just sitting there watching these 20-minute back and forth. I got a crazy neighbor, or just random. I'm like, damn, this is it's like. It's dope to see because it's like you said, we have the internet, we have these cameras, we have these phones, and we're able to record our lifestyle. Like I'm thinking about even documenting our trip to Philly because I'm a huge Jay-Z fan.
Just got to know how when to cut the camera off.
yeah. But because like, you know, I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. I'm looking forward to that. Far as the music wise, you also worked with Kanye West.
Yeah, you know, we helped Kanye on more of the sponsorship side of things. I had my former employers, KBA Marketing and Associates. I was the urban entertainment director over there for about 3 years, and we had all the major brands. We had Coca-Cola, so I was, you know, part of making sure we had the first New York street team for Coca-Cola, and the first Coca-Cola street team for LA and East LA. And so that came through KBA, and I was a part of that as well as M&M Mars, and we did all the tobacco club and nightlife activation, and we would do these really big ball events, the Salem Ball, the Bartender's Ball.
So like when you can still smoke cigarettes inside.
Yeah, when you could still smoke cigarettes inside.
She used to come out and drop tickets to me all the time.
Yeah, so we would bring out a lot of established artists, but also some of the up and coming. Jill Scott was an up and coming at the time, so we would do, you know, a couple events with her. We would do a lot of events with the Roots, and we would do like several events with even some of the OG heads. Like I brought Tina Marie out.
Oh wow.
Tina Marie had not been on the road for a while, for years, and I wanted to bring her out and integrate her on a couple shows, and I ended up giving her probably the best price because we had that money, and put her on a couple shows with Michelle Indicacello.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I forgot all about her.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I did that, Michelle.
And these shows were free.
Yeah,
They were like, you know, you get a nice invite, you get in there, and these were like experimental marketing, but we did that, and it really changed the game and what you see today.
yeah.
And so, you know, that's part of a lot of my journey is people still trying to figure out what does Mary Datcher do? What has she? I don't understand. Is she a journalist? Is she a media person? What is she? And I just like, hey, I'm an anomaly. Because that's what life is about. You don't get stuck into one lane.
Yeah.
You try to make sure that whatever you do it well, and then you roll into another and you do that well. Then you roll into another and you do that well.
Yeah.
And all of it comes together. In some way, somebody will need some type of expertise that you have, you know, mastered.
Yeah.
So what are you most proud of? Would you say out of all this stuff that you've done?
You know, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I think Global Mix is my baby. And I say that because that's my give back. I don't make no money off of Global Mix, but because so many people poured into me, I felt that this is a love letter to what I do for others in bringing people together culturally, bringing people together, you know, just emotionally. At one point, I would, you know, be like, is this worth it? Is it really resonating with people? Until I run into someone and say, hey, I worked for you. I volunteered. This helped me. I met blah, blah, blah. This led to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, okay.
Because like through this like conversation, what I've learned is that people don't really realize the inner backings of what it takes to create an artist, to create a brand, to market a brand, especially when a brand is standing still and you have to figure out how can I get it to this market, and how can I get these people to move in, and I got them, let's move on to this one, move on that, because those little Salem activation events was key. Like she used to come and they had like a little cool little envelope. You open it up, it was nice little. You get there, you get little lighters, and it was just marketing, and it was just a lot of people just don't realize how important those activations are.
Wait, you have to be strategic in understanding your audience.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not a smoker, so it was kind of rough for me to go to Winston-Salem to these brand meetings at headquarters, and they had ashtrays in the elevator, and everybody just everywhere you went,
in
they
the
was,
elevator.
they was
crazy.
They was just sucking up tobacco, and you're just like in these very smoke-filled rooms trying to get your point across. And so when the laws changed and everything was like no smoking inside and blah blah, it hurt a lot of the funding that went through nightlife, venues that relies a lot on that tobacco marketing money. But in the same sense, I was almost relieved because
I was very.
It just was like I just got tired of coming home and everything and every part of me smelled like smoke.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I was very upset because I'm a smoker at first. But then when you walk into a club with no smoke, it's just like I can breathe.
Yeah, you could breathe.
I mean, just think about it, bro. You used to be able to smoke on an airplane. Like I could be sitting on an airplane, and there'd be a baby right here, and I could just be sitting there, like in an environment like that where there's no fresh air circulating at all. Like I mean, when you really think about it, as we made the right decision as a society. You know what I'm saying?
Like, and we've done Salem. My company has done activations for Diageo, so we've worked Martell Cognac was one of our big
matter of fact
sponsors as well. So we worked directly with the Martells and just helping them, get what their messaging was too. Kono Blue. We brought a lot of different new artists. Bilal, his first time in Chicago was because we did one of our Martell Cognac events, and so we utilized the brands to also help us expose new talent. Yeah, and I think that's what was incredible between these type of brands, tobacco, and people, oh my God, tobacco, but also liquor. Yeah, and unfortunately, between the two, they had the highest budget, and we don't see that right now.
No. Yeah, because I mean, there was a nice era where you had those free liquor events, where they were doing like promotional concerts. You would go there, free to get in, free drinks. You know what I'm saying? You get a concert.
Slap.
Yeah.
I went to a Stoli Vodka event when they came out with the different flavors.
Yeah.
Each room, like if they had blueberry vodka, everything in that room was blue. It was like a living room set, yellow, but it was just, I remember that.
Creative. It stimulates your creative juices, but it also helped me identify the next wave of young talent. And because we were able to hire a lot of young talent, even for Salem in 6 cities, some of these people have gone on to start their own marketing firms. Yeah. Some of them didn't even have a checking account when we hired them. Some of them, was either, in between their projects or about to be evicted because they waiting on a check or didn't get a check, and we snatched them up and we utilized them, and they have grown to be amazing professionals in their own field because of those type of opportunities.
Yeah. So, since you're from Chicago, where I was asked top 5 Chicago albums.
Whew. See, you gonna get me in trouble. And I gotta mix it up.
Okay.
I gotta mix it up. Number 1, definitely Earth, Wind, and Fire. You cannot. That's hands down. Hands.
You're the
down.
first person to come on here
Yep.
and say Earth, Wind, and Fire. 'Cause
Yes.
people forget they from here.
Yeah.
Well,
Technically.
Maurice.
Well, Maurice.
Vernell's from here. Maurice is from here, but it was produced. See, what's the ones? Ramsey Lewis produced it.
Lewis, yeah.
That's the one that I consider that a Chicago album.
Yeah.
Right.
When you put Ramsey Lewis on it, and you got 2 Chicagoans on it, even though it may have been recorded in L.A.
Right.
It's from here.
Yes. So Earth, Wind, and Fire. Second, definitely Kanye, College Dropout.
Change the game.
Yeah, changed it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you gotta understand the way that the way in the tonality and how he presented, he incorporated that into several other artist projects and really helped catapult some careers. So I have to give him credit on that. Third, I hate to be dealing with all these controversial. Third, I would have to say Superfly. Curtis Mayfield. Mm-hmm. That soundtrack. He produced all of that.
Yeah.
See, I'm not just going off of your typical hip hop.
That's perfect.
These are ones that really kind of help influence the movement.
That's back when artists were really doing, because Curtis Mayfield did not just Superfly, other albums, but you had people like him, people like Willie Hutch. They were doing a lot of soundtracks for those black movies back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that's a good one. That's a real good one.
So that's my 3. And then my fourth, I would have to say R. Kelly, and it would have not the first one. It would have to be the second one.
12 play.
12 play. That's the one.
Yeah.
And then the third one. It's between those two. The second one and the third one. They really.
Yeah.
Because the third one that was the R.
That was. Ooh.
Yeah.
I think that was the R. Because that was one that had You Remind Me of Your Jeep.
Yeah.
And all that other stuff. Yeah, I think that album.
That album right there. That's why I said it's the second and the third is very tied to me.
I think that was the album that really.
That was
Take it
when
to the next
yeah.
level,
That's when you knew, okay, this dude is
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
it
something
was hard.
otherworldly.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell you, the controversial, 2 controversial people. And then my fifth one, it's hard because I'm such a classic person. The Emotions. I just.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, you didn't.
Wow. Yeah. I do have a. I do have a nice
So
Emotions.
So you kind of use
Almost every song on that album.
but wouldn't that
It's
wouldn't that be Curtis twice though?
Yeah, but
I mean, it's
but you
a
said
different iteration.
artists.
It's a different iteration. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. It's your top
Come on,
5.
don't ask my neighbor. I mean, it's so many joints on that album, and
You gonna make me go back to that. My dad, like we always said, my dad was a road manager for Chess Records, and when we was last summer when we was taking my son to school, we was listening to the Emotions.
yeah,
And he was telling me all types of stories, and I was just like, "Yo, this." I forgot how dope that they were.
yeah.
Like it just.
Now it was. I'm sorry, you go ahead.
But it's that Chicago sound.
Yeah.
You understand the Chicago sound is so imminent in just the global culture. I can go through and say, oh yeah, well, I have my others. I have my Selena Johnsons, who was influenced by her dad, Seal Johnson, who was phenomenal.
People sleep on Seal Johnson.
Exactly.
People sleep on.
I slept on him because I don't know. I probably know the.
So there, I don't. You know why I know Seal Johnson? is because I've built a playlist of like so much. Quick backstory: my pops, my pops, the vinyl, my pops' vinyl collection is stupid. So growing up, we listening to hip hop and we playing songs, and he hearing these samples like, oh no, he would go get the record, put it on, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of like, so I have this huge playlist.
680 some songs.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
swear to God, this playlist is ridiculous.
Of like just like samples that have been used. So that's how I found Seal Johnson.
Yeah, like you could that playlist is like a 3-day playlist. I was like, bro,
Look,
I'm tired.
that's why I said Chicago is very unique in how, our music, how we interact with each other. But when you say top 5, it's just so hard.
It's very difficult. It's very but yours, you definitely had like the most. You covered the most ground.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of stuck into one space.
Yeah.
And you definitely like because Chicago. That's why I always talk about like everybody, they have a band. Somebody from Chicago will be in their band.
Yeah.
Somebody in Chicago is playing, producing, doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like we're so ingrained into everything. I don't feel like we always get the credit that we deserve. But the people that know, they know.
Yeah.
And we definitely have our respect in the industry for sure.
Absolutely. But no, we have some incredible hits, and I wish I can touch upon the gospel. That's a whole nother segment.
That's
right
a
there.
whole. That's a whole. We're gonna have to do a part 2.
We grew up right Mahalia Jackson house.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story. I didn't know that as a kid. So I grew up in Chatham on right off 8th and Wabash. And, so I was walking through the neighborhood. I might have been on my way to your house. I'm walking down 83rd Street, and these women pull over, and they asked me, they were looking for Mahalia Jackson's house. I'm like, Mahalia Jackson.
It's right across from the Blue Mansion, right?
No, that's where Roland Burris' house. It's right across the street from
Senator
Neil.
Burris.
It's where Roland Burris is.
Yeah.
That's Mahalia Jackson's house. So I had no idea when these women they had drove up from somewhere. They was like, it's like Mahalia Jackson's house around here. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I knew who Mahalia Jackson was. Had no idea how many times I didn't walk past this woman's house. So like people like her. I'm not like huge in the gospel, you know what I'm saying. So, but I know like we have a strong lineage, especially with gospel musicians, because a lot of musicians they end up playing in other bands. They start in the church.
No, you some of the best musicians on tour from Chicago.
Absolutely,
and they come from the church.
Yeah.
That's the best practice and rehearsal you can get.
Every year we go to a friend of mine. He's been on the show, Lakeem. He does this thing called Keema Fest in Dalton. And he was like, every artist that I have on stage, every musician has played with everybody.
Yeah.
From Chris Brown to Erykah Badu to Jill Scott. So he like, this ain't no Ricky Deke Fest right here.
Yeah.
And I mean, he the crowd is not there yet, but
every year
it gets bigger.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because he knows how to get these talented people out. And recently he does an event once a month and gets it going. And he's like, yo, it's coming.
Wow.
Keema Fest is coming. The first year they had BJ the Chicago Kid and the Cool Kids. And BJ, they like basically family.
Yeah.
So BJ was like, bro.
I love BJ too. He's another one.
I love him. Man.
That is just phenomenal. And just
his soul is
he just hits, right?
He got that voice, man.
He reminds me of PJ Morton.
He does.
You know, and that's another one when I still have PJ's first independently released album, and right then I knew I was like, this guy has it.
Yeah.
I would have it on repeat, you know.
It's just so many.
Yeah.
It's just so many. It's so many artists that's still underneath the radar, but they get constant play for me because I'm gonna play them. I'm gonna play them.
So before we get out of here, I just want to ask, people like you have a very unique perspective, right? Having been involved, I mean, you're talking about like hip hop in its infancy, right? When it wasn't getting airplay, to where it became like basically the premier music, moves culture and all that, And there's been a conversation lately about how like hip hop is dying, you know, hip hop not being represented in the top 40, you know, Billboard, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of going through a transition. So having seen it grow from where it is, where it became, where it was, where it started, like what it became and where it is now, like what do you see? What do you think like the next movement is? What's the next pivot?
I think hip hop will always be here. It's going through different transitions. And when you're seeing that, you're seeing you got to see the fact that we have to own that narrative. Right now, you're seeing other groups try to dictate that narrative. And it's almost in that watered down version of what the industry is trying to control the narrative on. So in other words, it's not in the top 40 doesn't mean that it's not here.
Right.
It's just saying that you all are basically chosen who you feel should represent that top 40. And some of your people actually have hip hop influences in their music. You just don't want to give that credit to the culture because the culture is now being represented in a way where it's not a free fall. We're defining now what is ours.
Yeah.
And I'm saying what is ours in terms of not saying no other group should represent or do hip hop, but K-pop is black culture.
It is.
Right?
I see them as a Winchester.
Reggaeton is black culture.
Absolutely.
You have all these key elements that are now compartmentalized because different groups want to own it, but the base of it is black culture. And so we don't get that credit, and hip hop doesn't get that foundation, but it is influenced and inspired with these other groups. And that is why we have to take the time to not be scared to define that and to call it out for what it is.
Yeah.
See, we hold our tongue. Why are we holding our tongue? While we holding our tongues, we not holding our bag.
Right.
So you gonna let the bag go?
Yeah.
You know, so that's how far we've come. And I think our young people are going to really define it even further for us, and we'll continue that, and it'll evolve. But you got to make timeless music. Don't get caught up in the trends.
Yeah.
The trends come and go.
You
know, you have to make timeless music. Will this be heard and enjoyed 10 years from now?
Yeah, like we've been timeless music is definitely key because we've been past 2 weeks we've had these conversations. It's been Jay-Z versus Kanye or Kanye versus Drake and I'm going back and I'm listening to the very first albums and I'm going and I'm like, man, this is still a hit record.
Yeah.
and it's kind of like when you see certain people, like I kind of had this conversation the other day about Nelly, right?
Yeah.
And how like Nelly was huge then, but like I don't know if you could really consider that for what it was. He was a force. He was a phenomenon. But like, how does this make music age? You know what I'm saying?
They still book Nelly. Nelly has a different crowd.
They do.
And that's where the timelessness is in. A lot of these artists is going through their, resurgence of catalog. See, that's what we have to really understand, the catalog essence of it. So if you're booking an artist and you're booking them for a private corporate event, you're looking at the dynamic. Okay, well, what will my people, 25 to 40, predominantly white males, will be engaged in? They love hip hop, but what's safe?
Nelly. Right.
We did a Honda event at McCormick. Honda, 95% white.
Yeah.
Guess who they had on stage?
Ludacris.
Ludacris, yeah.
And he came on and he like, look, I ain't sugarcoating shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, some of these songs y'all may not know. Some of these songs you may be offended.
Yeah.
But I'm here to do a show, and you're going to get this show.
That's it.
And
I was like, Luda, I think Luda's one of those people, because, he closed One Music Fest last year. I go to One Music Fest every year. And he's one of those people that, man, you kind of forget just how many hits he has. And not only hits of his own.
Features.
The features. The hits he's been a part of.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, he brought Fergie out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I forgot he was on The Glamorous Life. That was a huge record.
Huge.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and it's so, like, for people like him, it's good to kind of see, like, the resurgence that people are having and how, like, what was once thought to be a young man's game, like, a lot of the people we grew up with are still releasing music, still able to tour, still doing well, getting new fans.
Yeah,
you know, it's been good to see. So I don't necessarily see it going anywhere.
Yeah, because we've been on this Primo Rice and Larry June for the past 2 years.
Right. Yeah, but those are like, you know what I'm saying. But those are like you know, I mean, well, Primo Rice from VA.
June's from the Bay.
June from the Bay. But you know, I mean, those are the babies of, like, you know what I'm saying, people like Short and 40, you know what I'm saying, Mac Dre.
Yeah.
Like all the people like that, you know what I'm saying, they created that lane for them to have, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, this has been a dope conversation, man. We definitely got to get a part 2 later in this year, because I mean,
because I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface. Of we've been doing this for 2 hours already. I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Because I didn't even ask you, like,
you said Mac Dre. I was like,
yeah.
My last question for you is, where do you see Chicago politics in the future? Like, because, you know, election time is coming up. It's 2 years away.
We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but we're going to close with it.
You're not going to get me in trouble at all, okay? Because, you know, I'm still dealing with a lot of these people.
Okay.
And all I can say is people need to vote the way they feel they're going to get the most out of it. You know, we have a habit of voting for people that we feel comfortable with, whether it's almost like that's a devil I know. I'd rather, you know, vote for the devil I know than the devil I don't know, but it's still the devil. Yeah. And I think what people have to really stand on is, what are you getting out of it? Yeah. How is it affecting your day-to-day? I'm going to give you a perfect example. Is my property taxes tripled within 3 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so did all the other people around me in the south suburbs. And so what happened? They voted. People came out like, we hold up now. This is affecting our livelihood, our kids' future, how we are dealing day to day, on top of inflation, the recession, and what we're dealing with at the gas pump and at the grocery store. And now we're dealing with a property tax issue. And so they started doing the research. They started going out to the assessors' meetings and filling out the paperwork to appeal to the Board of Review, and understood who their assessor was, and they understood who the assessor's challenger was, and they made a concerted choice and say, we can't bring you back.
Right.
And that is the same energy that needs to be put into any election that's coming up. Do your research. Does this affect you? How does it affect you? Does it affect the future of your kids and their kids? Does it affect how you're going to age in the next 25, 30 years in a comfortable environment? Yeah. Are these people working on your behalf?
Yeah.
Don't look at the color all the time. Look at what are they doing. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in, well, you know, because it's a black woman, it's a black man, it's a blue, blue. Okay, well, are they doing what they're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Are they listening to you?
Yeah, because the thing about the way it's looking now, Chicago's just going to get bigger.
Yeah,
it's so much coming on here.
But it's not translating into the economy in a lot of our neighborhoods that we have been raised in. It's a lot, but where is it at? We still have a lot of empty lots.
A lot of food deserts.
We still have a lot of people that are homeless. We still have people that are check to check. We still have a lot of empty storefronts and empty office buildings downtown. You go downtown, on one of the busiest days, and it feels like you're in Detroit downtown.
Yeah, on State Street. Yeah,
and it's like State Street. Oh my God, State Street's a whole nother issue. I've never seen so many empty storefronts, and that is the result of the pandemic. But it's also the result of you can only put so much on companies to do all the heavy lifting, and then you also have people that are, they're just trying to get by.
Yeah.
And they don't know about politics. They don't know that you do have to vote. You do have to have your voice out there. But do the research. And I'm not saying that to slight anybody in particular. All I'm saying is you got to do the research, and then whatever choice you make, you have to make that choice, and you got to vote.
Yeah. And elections have consequences.
Yes,
if you don't know that by now,
but
man,
but vote in your interest. That's all I'm saying. If you feel like that person holds the best interest for you and what you hopefully will see for your future and your loved one's future, then that's that person. If you feel like it's not going in that direction, then it's up to you as a voting citizen to be responsible to be a part of that change.
Yeah, man, this has been dope.
It's been great. Thank you so much for giving us your time, blessing us with your presence.
Yes. And what do you got coming up next?
Oh, we got Global Mix coming up November 13th and 14th.
Okay.
Malcolm X College, and it's going to be some really awesome speakers, some great surprises along the way, and then in between time, we got a couple events that we're doing that can really highlight what we're doing with Black Music Month in June. We're doing an event there, and then we got a couple other partnership collaborative events that we're working on as well.
Okay, dope. We're definitely going to check that out. So tell the people they can follow you at.
They can follow me on IG, M as in Mary, Datcher, Datcher, or they can follow me on X at Global Mix with 2 X's. They can also check out our website, globalmixwith2x's.org. If you are looking for more on the corporate media relations side, then you can check me out with the company that I'm with called APS and Associates. We are the leading full-service public affairs firm in Chicago. We handle crisis management. I'm the VP of Communications, and we have some extraordinary clients, and we do political consultation. We do media outreach, community engagement, all of that great stuff. So make sure you follow us at apsandassociates.com.
That's what we ain't even getting to the Olivia Pope side of you.
Right.
You know
That's
we didn't even get there. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to APS, babe.
3 a.m, get the phone. Look, I was drunk. Don't say nothing.
She told me she was 18.
Don't say nothing. We're on our way. No top dog law here. We don't need those guys.
Top dog law.
They're everywhere. I hate that fucking commercial. I can't stand. I thought they was just in Chicago.
Oh, no, they're everywhere.
I'm on Breakfast Club, and then Shorty like Top Dog. I'm like,
Can't
help
get away
us.
from them.
They everywhere.
Hey, they making that money.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Real, where can they follow you at, man?
Real the Producer 914, 914 Media Group, both on IG.
Hey, man, I'm your boy, Class of 1979. You already know what it is. Thank you for liking, supporting, and sharing Easily Offended Podcast. Shout out to Bloke Wipe. Shout out to my nigga Bakari out there in Australia. Hey, man, check out episode 92, 93, and check this one out, man. We out. Peace.
Peace.